I would talk to all these people, and then I was closing people, and I had this quality problem where I was signing up all these people, but I didn't have enough time to train them. And then
Mhm.
I started to feel guilty. I'm like, well, they just joined the business. I got to teach them how to build the business. So at the time, my upline, she called me and she said, "What are you doing?" Because she saw the numbers. She's
Mhm.
like, "What are you doing?" And actually, this was the same uh, company that I was in back in the day, where when I started to do my blogging and social media, they stopped inviting me on stage to share my story because they
Mm.
didn't want people to not follow their plan.
We are Attraction Marketing. Welcome.
All right. Well, this is Andrew from attractionmarketing.com. And I'm sitting down. Once again, we were actually just talking before we started rolling. We don't want to say how many years we've been having these conversations, but it's been more than 2 or 3. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So this is not our first conversation. So it's a pleasure, as always, to be chatting with Tanya Aliza. Thanks so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, we've done the story thing before, but I love hearing people's stories. And for anyone out there who hasn't heard yours, you've got a great story. You've had an incredible journey of entrepreneurship. You've built some incredible businesses. So yeah, let's kind of like dive in, and I'll kind of let you pick where you want to start because yeah, like what is your entrepreneurial journey like? What was the inception of like being introduced to maybe even the idea of entrepreneurship, to get us to where we are today?
Well, it was not at a raw food potluck.
Yes. So for a little bit of context, I was mentioning how I met Mr. Tim Irway at a raw food potluck many, many years ago. Yeah.
That's funny. No, so I have a really crazy journey. Like it was insane. It's a little bit different than most. I never knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but then the hindsight looking back, all of the lemonade stands that my sister and I used to run as kids,
Hmm.
I can be like, oh, I know where it came from. But I went to school, went to high school, went to college, and then I was like, college does not pay you to go to college, and I was running out of money. So I was like, okay, I need to go to work and get a job. So I moved. I was living at the time in British Columbia, Canada, and I moved to the big city because that's where everybody wants to go to Vancouver, Canada. And I worked as a waitress for many, many, many years, and I made a lot of money. I was doing like double shifts, and I started to get burnt out and got into the finance industry. And then I thought, well, this is perfect. I don't have to work late nights. And then I was working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. I wasn't working anything less. I was making really good money, but I had no time to spend it. And one day in my office, I was on the computer. It was a slow day. And I was snooping around YouTube. And I found this family, and they had corporate jobs that they left behind. They took their little girl and went and traveled the world,
Mm,
and they were documenting their story. And I
nice.
was watching this video and I was like, how is this possible? And it's crazy when you start thinking about things, how things start coming into your life based on what it is that you're thinking.
Hmm.
And so at that point, I was introduced to a bunch of books. I read The 4 Hour Work Week.
Hmm.
I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then right in like weeks time of reading these books and planting those seeds, I actually had a girlfriend of mine call me up, and she said, "Hey, can you come to my house? I'd like you to meet some people." And I kind of had an idea of what she was doing. And I said, "Okay, I'm going to be a good friend and I'm going to go support you."
Hmm.
So I drove 45 minutes to her house. And that night I was introduced to network marketing for the
Hmm.
very first time. And that was way back in 2009. It was November 2009. And I met this couple, and at the whole presentation, I was literally sitting there on the couch with my arms crossed. I was like, this is really cheesy. I don't really I'm just here to support my friend.
Hmm.
And then they got to the point of talking about money. And I'm a total red. Like I am a hustler. I love, love, love money. And it's not that I love money. I love what money can actually do.
Hmm.
It can provide you a lot of freedom. It can allow you to help people the ways that you haven't been able to before. So I remember they said, this is where we are on the graph. And I looked at that and I was like, what? And it said that the average income where they were at, the level in the company that they were at, was like 400 and something thousand a year. And I was like, all right, this is over double what I make. This is that's a lot of money. And I was like, I don't believe them.
Mhm.
So the presentation was over. It was so ridiculously cheesy. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm here just to support my friend. And the presentation was over and everybody was mingling. And the husband and wife that was helping her to do the presentation at her house for her friends, I went up to them and I said, so you guys really make that amount of money? And they said, yeah. And I said, can you prove it? And they said, okay. So they opened up their back office and they kind of showed me what their last week's pay was. And I looked at it and I'd be like, I'll be damned. Are you serious? And I was like, okay, but what do you do? Like, tell me what you do.
Mhm.
And they said, well, we do this. And I was like, no way. And they're like, well, we do multiple of these a week. And I'm like, seriously? So I was like, well, I'm way better than you at presentations. I'm going
Mhm.
to totally crush this thing. So I was like signing up, I think the $400 pack right off I was like, get me everything you've got. I'm going to do this. I bought the easel because this was way back
Mhm.
in the day before we had online marketing, before we had video, before we had webinars. We had flip charts, physical freaking flip charts.
Mhm.
I was lugging my flip chart around house to house to house doing presentations until I figured out you could do it on video. But anyways, I had a little bit of success, I think, because my friends kind of looked up to me because I was the only one with like a real job.
Yeah.
And so I was able to do okay, but I really wasn't taking it seriously because, I was treating it like a side gig. And then 2010 rolled around the year later, and my stepfather, who we considered a father who kind of like raised us, I got a frantic call from my mom one day, and she was living a 4-hour drive from me from the city. And it was super early in the morning. She woke me up. She was frantic. I've never heard her like that before. And she said that Jim, my stepfather, had woken up that morning to get ready for work. He slipped and fell in the shower, had a stroke, and he was in ICU.
Mm.
And I was like, oh my God. And it just, I don't know if anybody's had to deal with this before. It's like, you don't even know what to do. I'm like walking around, I'm like half dressed, like in my pajamas, getting ready for work. And I immediately just got in the car. I didn't pack anything. I got in the car, probably half dressed. I don't even remember. And I just drove 4 hours to go see my mom and my sister because we were all pretty close. And my mom and my stepdad were like best friends, inseparable.
Mm.
And so I was like, just need to be there. And so I get there. This happened to be 2010 Good Friday. So it
Mm.
was Good Friday. Easter's right around the corner. The family's already all there. And we're hanging out in ICU. And he ended up having a stroke where he was basically pronounced brain dead and just on life support. And then my mom had to make that really hard decision. And at that time, I stayed home with my mom to help just emotions, get everything prepared. And I wasn't working. So I think I had to take like almost a month off to be with the family. And in that month, I noticed that there was no money coming in from my finance job because I wasn't going to work. I wasn't
Mhm.
working,
Mhm.
but I had a little bit of money coming in from my network marketing deal. And it was a little bit, but I was like, this is so cool. Like I can actually take time off with my family and not have to worry about money coming in. Like I had never experienced residual income,
Mm.
leveraged income, passive income. I've never experienced anything like that before. And one thing that my dad did teach me, because he passed at 61 years young, like that's way too young to go. And he was healthy and he was active and he was fit. Like we just were like totally blown away by this, is life is way too short.
Mhm.
Like to be stuck doing something that doesn't bring you joy. And so, although I loved my job and I had a good boss and I had good colleagues that I worked with, I literally had no life. Like I was really good at my job. So typically when you work in corporate and you're good at your job, they squeeze as much out of you as
Mhm.
they can
Mhm.
and they burn you out. And literally that's what it was like. And I was like, I'm making good money, but what's all the money in the world if you have no time to enjoy it or spend it or see people that you want to see? So that was, I think, my biggest turning point in going, okay, I need to figure this out. I need to figure out how to build this business. I need to figure out how to get this income to be greater than my income that I'm making at my job so I can leave my job. And my it could have been excuse, but I think one of my biggest challenges was I was working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day at my job, so I didn't have time to go out and prospect or find people to talk to about my business, and this is even before social media was very popular like it is now for
Mhm.
building your business. And so I actually went online and I started to figure out, like, how do I grow my business online? Like, I know there's people typing in Google the benefits of what my product can do for people. And I'm thinking, how do I just get in front of those people?
Mhm.
And again, you start asking yourself the questions, and then all of a sudden crazy things start popping up. In fact, I think my very first digital marketing coach or pseudo virtual mentor was Frank Kern, actually.
Mm. Mhm.
So I found Frank Kern's trainings, and he was teaching about copywriting and, Google and SEO back then. And I was like, yes, this is exactly what I need to learn how to do. And so I started to learn, and I was so green. Like when I started to learn about opt-in forms and using, um, you know, email marketing, I was one of my coaches the program that I was going through, they were teaching me how to create an opt-in form to generate leads. And I was building my opt-in form not knowing anything about opt-in forms, or I didn't even know what steps I was taking and why. I was literally just following the system
Mhm.
blindly.
Mhm.
And I'm creating these opt-in forms. And I'm sitting there one day as I'm creating my opt-in form and I'm looking at it and I'm like, all right, so they put in their name, they put in their email, and then what happens? I don't know where do they go?
Where are they?
I was like, "Where do they go?" And I called one of my mentors and I was like, "Dave, where does this person go when they put in their name and email?" And he's like, "Well, just put in your name and email and figure it out." And I was like, "But I don't want to break it." Like, this is how green I was back then. And so I learned funnels, and I learned, building a lead magnet and a free offer, and I was learning how to blog, and I was doing YouTube videos and all of the things. And I wasn't getting any traction. I was just kind of in build mode, and I just
Mm.
had this, like, I was like, "Man, I know that what I'm working on, it's gonna work because I see it working for other people. So, like, it has to work for me." And I went probably a year of just building and learning and watching the trainings and watching people implementing, and I'm like, "It's gotta work soon. It's gotta work soon." And then within that year, I had something happen with my job where they actually let my business partner go, and my business partner and I, split 50 commissions in the office. And I walked in the office one day and my boss came in and he's like, "Yeah, so we had to let your business partner Jen go, and she's no longer gonna be working here." And I'm like, "Well, what does this mean for me?" And I was thinking, "Okay, well, I'll pick up some hours. I'll have to train somebody to take her position." But they actually asked me to train their 18-year-old niece
Mm.
for my business partner position, and then I would have to split commissions 50-50 with her, and she didn't know how to sell. I had been in the business for 6 years. She had,
Mhm.
and I was like, I'm taking a massive step back in my career. And at that point, I was making enough that I could live off of with my network marketing income,
Mm.
but just live off of, and then I had a little bit of savings, and I was like, "I think I'm going to bet on myself." And that was just a decision that I made, and I said, "Okay, I'll give my notice, I'll give some time," and then I went out on my own. And then I tried to build my business, and I was, like, learning the digital marketing thing, and then I had a friend of mine call me probably 2 months later, and this is probably end of 2010, no, beginning of 2011, had a friend of mine call me and say, "Hey, I have an opportunity in Costa Rica, and would you want to move down there and help me open a business?" And it was a restaurant business. He's like, "I know you used to work in restaurant."
Mm.
And I'm thinking, okay, at this point, I have no commitments, no children, go to Costa Rica, buy a surfboard, surf, live on the beach. okay.
Yeah. Doesn't sound too bad.
But the problem is that my network marketing company wasn't there.
Mm.
I hadn't quite figured out the digital marketing thing yet. And I still wanted to build my network marketing business. So I was like, I need to figure out this digital marketing thing. So long story short, I moved to Costa Rica. I lasted 2 days in the restaurant.
Okay, you did move.
I
Okay.
did move to Costa Rica. Yep. And lasted 2 days in the restaurant, realized that that is not where I wanted to be. Again, I had already that ship had sailed, and I just had to have the reminder why that sailed. And so I'm in Costa Rica. I have my laptop. I have my surfboard. That's about it. And I'm like, okay, learn digital marketing and implement and build an actual funnel that can convert, and then surf when the swell is in. Okay, like let's just do that.
Mhm.
So I started to generate leads, and I had a list of probably 1,000 leads and no sales. And I'm like, okay, so I can generate the leads, but I'm not making sales. What's going on? And it was on a webinar. And I think it was Michelle Pesco-Salido that was doing the webinar. And she was in a very similar situation, but she was telling people on the webinar that you've got to call your leads.
Mm.
And I'm like, call leads? What are you talking about? Call leads? I don't want to talk to my leads. I just want people to sign up.
Mm-hmm.
Is what everybody says is going to happen. They're just going to sign up. And so I'm sitting there, and she's like, no. She actually said on the webinar, she's like, if you're not calling your leads and they've left you their phone number, like you're doing them a disservice. They want you to help them. They want you to call them. And I was so scared. And Drew, like, I picked up the, I did not pick up the phone. We did not have a phone in Costa Rica. We had Skype.
Okay. Yeah.
So I have my little headset on. I have my laptop computer, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. Because it was that, or I had to go back home and crawl back into the office and try to get my old job back because I was running out of money and my business wasn't as profitable as I had hoped that it was going to be at that point in time. And I was like, the thought of having to go back into my job with my tail between my legs and say my thing didn't work that I thought was going to work was more embarrassing for me than like getting my shit together and actually making my business work. So that actually fired me. So people say, well, have a why that makes you cry. And I'm like, that didn't work for me. Like I had to have something so scary that I was so embarrassed to go back on that was the thing that pushed me forward. And I think it's because like you move faster away from pain than you do towards pleasure. So whatever's painful, create that and then just run the other direction and figure it out. So that's what I did. And so Michelle said, call leads. And I was like, all right, I got these phone numbers. So I started to call leads and I didn't want to call leads. And so I pick up the phone. Trisha's the very first person that I called. I'll never forget this. She answers the phone. Most people don't answer the phone if they don't recognize the number. But she answered the phone. And she said, and I said, and Trisha from Texas. I don't know if she's on my list anymore, but Trisha from Texas answered the phone. And I said, hi, Trisha, this is Tanya. And I said, this is Tanya Aliza. She says, what? That Tanya Aliza? Are you sure? And I said, yeah.
The Tanya Aliza?
She was idolizing me like I was some famous person. And I was like, not. In my head, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you talking to me like this? This is weird. And she's like, it's exactly it. Like, they said, they Tanya Aliza? And I'm like, yeah. And I said, well, I see that you downloaded my freebie that I gave out, and I just want to make sure you got it. And I was just curious as to like what the motivation was to get it. And I probably did not say it that eloquently at all.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited you're calling me. And it was like insane revelation. Like, because I was listening to at the time, I was listening to Todd Falcone's, he had a program. I can't remember what it was, but he did this one where he would like call cold leads just to get really good at the phone on like talking to people. And so when you're calling cold leads, these are people that don't know who you are. And so they're not as friendly. They're like, "Who are you? What are you?" And I would hear these calls,
Mhm.
but I would train myself. I was getting obsessed with getting good at having conversations. And so I'd listen to everything and anything that anybody was putting out. And Todd is a really good training in a
Mhm.
sense of like how to talk to leads and stuff, but he was dialing these cold leads and these cold leads did not sound friendly.
Mhm.
And so finally I had this person who was like treating me like a celebrity. I'm like, "Whoa, this is so different." And what I chalked it up to was the fact that how these leads were coming in, they were coming in through my blog. And I was blogging a lot back then and doing little YouTube videos. They were silly, but I guess I was still doing them and people were watching.
Mhm.
And and the fact that I was giving away free value that I created that was helping them.
Mhm.
And so they were like treating me like I was a celebrity when I called them. And this
Mhm.
changed my whole paradigm. I was like, I could call leads all day long with these kinds of conversations. Like,
Mhm.
who wouldn't want to do that? And I remember then I enjoyed calling my leads and I ended up just dialing leads like 2 hours a day. I would dial leads, I would talk to people. The conversations were great. And then when I started to get really good at closing, because I wasn't good at closing,
Mhm.
so I was like, I'm having all these conversations, but nobody's joining my business. How do I close? So then I became obsessed with learning how to get better at closing. And then I would ask people closing question like, "Hey, do you see an opportunity for yourself? Is there anything else you need to know before we get you started?" Like those great closing transitions that I didn't know that I learned. And then I was like, "Oh my gosh, this works."
Mhm.
And so it finally got to a point after probably about, it was almost close to 3 years of not the most amazing, like overnight results success stories, but about the 4 year mark. I really worked hard at it for about 4 years. And at about the 4 year mark, I started just to sign up tons of people, like,
Mhm.
into my network marketing business.
Mhm.
I had a quality problem because I actually felt a little bit guilty because I was like, "Okay, I figured out how to create high value content on my blog, how to lead that to a lead magnet.
Mhm.
They're opting in, I'm giving them value, and then I'm closing them." And at the time, I didn't understand email sequences or creating high converting emails. So I made up for that with phone calls. So I would just talk
Mhm.
to people.
Mhm.
It's kind of the same. So I would talk to all these people, and then I was closing people, and I had this quality problem where I was signing up all these people, but I didn't have enough time to train them. And then
Mhm.
I started to feel guilty. I'm like, well, they just joined the business. I got to teach them how to build the business. So at the time, my upline, she called me and she said, "What are you doing?" Because she saw the numbers. She's
Mhm.
like, "What are you doing?" And actually, this was the same uh, company that I was in back in the day, where when I started to do my blogging and social media, they stopped inviting me on stage to share my story because they
Mm.
didn't want people to not follow their plan.
Yep.
This is how old we are in
Yeah,
right?
that was the attitude. Absolutely.
So I was black sheep. I was the black sheep of the team, but yet I started to produce all these numbers, and then they started to come around a little bit. So I got a phone call from my upline at the time. Her name was Judy, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Can I fly in to see what you're doing?" And I was like, "Well, instead of me teaching you what I'm doing, can you just help me with what I'm doing?" And so we kind of created this partnership where I was like, "I'll enroll if you train."
Mm.
So we kind of had this, I bring them in, she trains them on how to build the business. And so that went really, really, really well for a really long time. And so that was kind of my whole, like how I got started and
Mhm.
my whole journey story and where we are now. And so, it's been quite some time that we've been building teams and we've been building businesses. And really, when you start learning how to generate leads and when you kind of figure out who your audience is, and that takes some time to figure out, but when you figure out like who you're actually speaking to and you can craft that message around that person, your avatar, you can create immense value for that group, that avatar that really can help them. And then now it's just asking questions like
Mhm.
for sales,
Mhm.
really. It
Mhm.
was like a long-winded story.
No, I love it, and
Bless you.
what I love about that, and I'd actually love to rewind real quick because I wanted to dig in a little bit more to your time offline because I know you were creating some results enough to at least build belief and build some skills, but we didn't talk about what those look like. But what I love about your journey is you can see how every step of the way you're acquiring new skills and you're, I want to say, automating certain aspects of the process, and it kind of evolves, right? So you're, because you can obviously look at a full-blown functional, like, attraction marketing style system, and it can seem really intimidating right out of the gate because you're like, oh my god. You mentioned funnels and things earlier,
Yeah.
right? Like, they can get pretty sophisticated,
Yeah.
you know but if you just kind of take it a step at a time, which is what a lot of people do, they can get overwhelmed, right? But if you
Mhm.
start taking it a step at a time and solving the problems as they come, which is exactly what your story was illustrating, then you can start achieving. And we also want to talk about some of the incredible results you achieved from your blog, from, because we did talk about a little bit. One thing that I loved, we mentioned before we started rolling, the Better Networker Days.
Yeah.
And so this was a social network specifically for network marketers. It's long gone, but I always loved in the kind of earlier iteration of this event, because we've been doing this for a while. The early iteration, we would have people who were relatively new to the industry, but they would start making videos and writing blogs and things, and they would come to these events, and almost every time there'd be someone, at least someone, who was like starstruck to meet them. And I remember having those conversations like, "Can't believe it, but, like, someone came up to me and was like, 'I saw your video on Better Networker, and I can't believe I'm meeting you.'" And they're like, "Me?"
Yeah.
And it's like, it's such a cool thing, but that's like, it's just such a cool thing that we have access to, and it works.
Yeah.
And even if you're not like, because everyone compares themselves, right? Everyone's like, "Well, I'm not Frank Kern," or you know what I mean? Like, when you're first
Yeah.
getting started, that was the name you mentioned. But that's just not the reality. That's
Mhm.
just not, that's not how you can really create that kind of impact. And when you have people, as you mentioned, excited to talk to you because you're actually following up, and it's like, "Oh my gosh, you're calling me." I've heard that so many times from people. So it's
Yeah.
just that was an awesome thing to see, um, about your journey, is, just how putting one piece of the puzzle together at a time.
Hey, my friends, hope you're enjoying the show. I wanted to take a quick minute and invite you to something very cool. If you are tired of following up with dead leads, if you're tired of all the spammy, scammy conversations online, if you're tired of chasing down friends, family, and people you work with just to get somebody interested in your business, and you would actually like to talk to highly qualified people who have a genuine interest in doing business with you, then we have our all digital 5-day boot camp that teaches you all the things that we do, and it will help you get 3 to 7 new customers each and every single week. That's our personal guarantee to you. If you want to take advantage of that, click the link directly below this, or you can go to attractionmarketing.com/YouTube. Now, let's get you back to the show.
And then I want to, yeah, again, talk
I
about.
have to I have to tell you something though. As you're talking, I'm thinking about the days where I was on the phone for 2 hours a day. You don't always have to do that. Like I built my foundation that way. And
Mhm.
now but there was a season where I was 2 hours a day, headset on, walking around with my computer calling. One of the individuals that I actually ended up talking to, so I just run through my list, everybody that I had phone numbers for. I dial this one phone number. And the other person on the other line that I end up talking to because they opted into one of my funnels was
Mhm.
actually Hal Elrod.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to Hal. I have no idea who Hal Elrod is
Okay.
at the time. And we're talking. We're just having a full on conversation. And he's telling me about his story and his his Cutco days and his accident. And then he's like, "Okay, you haven't heard of the book, The Miracle Morning?" I said, "No, I haven't." He's like, "Okay, I'm going to send you a copy."
Mhm.
And so I said, "Cool, send me a copy." So he sends me a copy, and then I looked the book, I kinda looked at the cover. I wasn't much of a reader back then,
Uh-huh.
so I just put it on the shelf, and it also said, I think the subtitle of that book was, How to Get Everything Done Before 8 a.m. or something like that, The
Yeah,
Miracle
that
Morning.
sounds right.
And I was like, "Man, I don't wake up until at least 10, like, this book." And
Yeah, not that. Yeah, no.
this is, like, back in my early days. I'm a total morning person now, but back then, it's not so much. So I put the book down. Years go by, and Hal's partner Pat Petrini ends up giving me a call. Pat says, "Hal wants you to be in the book, The Miracle Morning for Network Marketers, based on all
Yeah.
of your success that you had." And I said, "Oh shit, I should probably read the book."
Mhm.
So then I read the book. That book changed my life. Like
Mhm.
The Miracle Morning literally changed my life. Happy to be in the version for network marketers, that book. But you never know who the heck you're going to talk to.
Yeah.
And like every relationship can lead to something just like so amazing. I've had so many incredible relationships. So yeah, you gotta talk to people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fundamentally, this is a people business. And even though there are a lot of things we can automate, and there are a lot of tools we can leverage to create those relationships and the rapport, all that, still a people business, you know?
Yeah.
And so as you're working on automating those things, yeah, any kind of touch you want to put in the process is, yeah, just very, very effective. And you, again, you never know what might come of it. It's crazy.
And
So,
video, like you said it, video is the most important thing that I think that you can do for your brand that really gets people to connect with you. And so many people, unfortunately, are scared to do the video.
mhm.
And it's like, I have yet to figure out how to eliminate that fear, like with our students and our community as well. Like, how do we get past, like, get people past that fear of going on video? Um, I'm still trying to figure that one out and nail that.
That's a tough one,
Yeah.
honestly. It is. And I mean, even though these days you can use things like AI tool, there's a lot of stuff you could do, but there's still a tremendous amount of value, just like everything we mentioned, right? Like
Yeah.
the skills that you acquire along the way will serve you really well. And I did want to still circle back around to your offline days and like what were the skills you acquired in your offline days? Because I know they're there. We just didn't quite get there.
How to carry an easel around that weighed 500.
There you go. There you go. Get a little.
Uh, well, so I needed to get good at talking to people.
Mm,
I didn't, I'm an introvert at nature and extrovert when I have to be.
mhm.
So, but I have to be recharged. I can't be around, I can't have too much conversation. My brain just goes a little wonky. So, um, I realized in my business, so if you kind of break it down, what your money making activities are, so you've got to be adding people to your list. And it doesn't matter what you're selling. Like you got to be adding people to your list. You have to be making those connections. You have to be, asking if they're open and having those conversations and then following up and then closing and then team building if you're in network marketing. And really, anything beyond those things is not a money making activity, although they could support a money making
Mm,
activity, but those are your money making activities. So I had to figure out which of those I was really good at and which of those I really was not good at. And one of the things that I was not good at, I figured out was um, asking if somebody's open and closing.
mm,
Like I was scared. I was scared to say like, "Hey, I've got this amazing opportunity. Are you open? If this could do this for you, would you be open?"
mhm,
Um, I had a really tough time asking that question.
mhm.
I don't know. I think a lot of people do,
Yeah.
but I did. And so but I realized that. And then I was like, okay, well, how do I get over that? Well, I need to train myself to get over that.
Mhm.
So then I just became obsessed. I would buy everything that would be good and helpful to me. And probably Todd Falcone's courses that he had were one of my most pivotal because he was actually dialing and you could hear what he was saying. Like it
Mhm.
was real time that he was doing on these calls. And so what I would do is I would listen to his calls. I had when I was still in my job, I had an hour commute each way.
Mhm.
So I would listen. And then I remember, Andrew, I had a BlackBerry at the time. The BlackBerries were cool back then.
Yeah, I remember.
So I had a BlackBerry and I would hit record on my BlackBerry, and I would record myself mimicking how Todd was talking, pretending I was talking to somebody.
I like it.
Like I would model that. And then I would hit stop and then I would listen to it. And I'd be like, "Oh man, that sounds horrible. No way I sound like that." Like for real, like I thought I sounded horrible.
Mhm.
Hated the sound of my voice.
Mhm.
And I was like, "All right, redo it again. Okay, redo it again. Redo it again. Redo it again." Until I started to feel like it was comfortable. And then it still doesn't feel as comfortable as if you put it in real life. And I remember the very first time that I asked a closing question. Somebody said, I was talking to somebody on the phone. They said that they were interested, and I was like, all right, is there anything else you need to know before we get you started? And I was like, I can't believe it. And then you're not supposed to say anything after that.
Yep.
Like,
Mhm.
that's it. That's all you say. You wait for them to reply. But then, like, being a woman and, like, chatty and a little nervous, you always want to, like, say it. I'm like, just sip it, Daniel. Just sip it.
You wanna
Just
fill the
listen.
silence.
Yep. Just
Yep.
sip it. Just let them answer. And then it was a gal on the other end. Her name is Denise. Denise said, I said, is there anything else you need to know before we get started? She said, no. And I was like, what do I do now? What the hell do I do
I
now?
wasn't ready for this.
I was like, I don't know. What's my setup? Like, I don't even know my setup. I forget what's my name. But so I became obsessed with figuring out where I need help. Like, not thinking where I need help, but like actually knowing where I need help, like
Mhm.
in the core functions of the business,
Mhm.
and then investing in there to get really good. And then just getting obsessed with putting that massive action into that area.
Mhm.
Like, and one thing that I I'm I'm I would say that I'm good at. I'm not good at a lot of things, but this one thing I'm really good at is just being very consistent.
Mm.
And the reason why is because I declare it to the public that I'm going to be. So, like, when I came out and I said I was going to be doing one weekly blog post every single week, like
Mhm.
high value piece of content for my audience, and I would
Mhm.
do that in the form of, before podcasting, I would do videos and YouTube videos every week. I declared it to my audience. I said, hey guys, I just want to make an announcement and say I'm sorry for not showing up like I'm supposed to for you. And I'm going to be more consistent. And here's what you can expect of me. And then when I declared that to the public, I was like, there's no way I cannot do that because I can't go back on my word because my word is everything.
Mhm.
Um, so offline days, I mean, the skills for offline and the skills for online, they're not much different.
Mhm.
Because it's like you're in sales, like you're selling stuff, like
Mhm.
whether you're selling other people's stuff, your own stuff, you're selling a business or network marketing opportunity, like you're still selling stuff. So you still have to understand people. You have to have those conversations, and then you have to know how to navigate that conversation to a place that like they feel comfortable saying yes, and it's a good fit for both of you guys.
Yeah. I like that.
But I
Well,
did carry an easel around living room to living room for so many no-shows. I would get on a
yeah.
ferry to go to an island 2 hours each way, be promised that there's gonna be, like, 10 people there that I can present to, and, like, nobody's there many a times.
That's good. That's good. So far, I think the best story like that I've heard was a gentleman who drove something crazy, like 2 or 3 hours in a blizzard to go to, like, a coffee shop to, like, show the plan for a no-show, they
Yeah.
didn't show, when he had to drive home, like, again, like, 2, 3 hours in a blizzard, and it's just like, oh,
Yeah,
like, oh, so a ferry, that's a new one for me because
the
I
ferry.
I love those, those
Like,
old school stories, because the links that you go to really make you appreciate what we can do today leveraging today's tools, it's just like, wow, it's night and
and I
day.
never wanna talk about these stories because to me, they're so embarrassing. Like, but I remember sitting at a dinner, we were at an event, it might have even been one of your guys' events back in the day, and we were at a dinner, and I was sitting next to Simon Chan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Simon, and I knew I was Simon, but we had never really connected. So we were sitting next to each other, and he's like, "Tell me your story," and we started talking about and having such funny laughs from back in the day, like our back in the day days.
Mhm.
And he's like, "I did not know that you did that." He's like, "You need to share that more." And I'm like, "That is such an those are embarrassing stories for me though."
That's kind of the point, but they're also great stories, they're it's just that is sort of like a trial by fire that people go through in this industry, right? Like
Well, on the ferry back, even though nobody showed up to the house, on the ferry back, I was like, had my little case with all of my samples and my easel. And I was like, I've got to at least enroll somebody on this freaking ferry.
there's a lot of there's a lot of room to, like, present and
Session worker. I was probably annoying the crap out of everybody. And then the difference is that online you have that ecosystem that you can build where it's funny, like the minute that I put up my website, and this is why I taught people blogging and websites for many, many, many years, because I was
Mhm.
like, the life change that it gave me, because I was a nobody that instantly went to a somebody by
Mhm.
having that authority site, just
Mhm.
having your own like brand presence
Mhm.
and having some sort of value that you give out online. People don't look at you like, who are you? What are you trying to sell me? They're like, oh, wow, this is a person that I look up to, and you have some credibility and authority right out of the gate, even if you have zero success in your business as far as dollars and cents go.
Right. You look very put together.
I know. It's amazing what online can do, right?
Yeah, it's very cool. But what I love about this story is, and this is something that, we emphasize a lot. Fernie talks about this all the time. You know, attraction marketing fundamentally, just like offline, I mean, there is a skill acquisition process, and you can't really get around that.
Yeah.
Like, you need to learn some skills, and that's how come, so much of what we emphasize is, yeah, I mean, all of that, all the offline stuff, all the skills you acquired, they translate, just like you said, they translate online. So any of that you've gone through is like fantastic, not only fantastic material, but character building and skill acquisition. And then, yeah, and then it's a whole nother process to learn this side of things. And I'd love to dig in a little bit because we haven't really talked about, you're so humble. We
Oh,
haven't really talked about how, like, you built a really large team. You built a coaching business. You have a large presence on social media. Like, you've done so much. So I'd love to kind of dive into that. Dive into some of the results you achieved with these skills.
yeah. So I used to do this free webinar every Thursday. This was probably uh 2012. I would do this free webinar. Actually, it wasn't even a webinar. I didn't even know webinar softwares existed. It was I told everybody to come join a Skype call.
Nice.
So I was blogging and I didn't even really know what I was doing. I was just following these little trainings, some SEO trainings. I was doing article writing, and I was generating leads. And like, it wasn't like hundreds of leads, but it was like 10 leads here, 20 leads here, 10 leads, 5 leads. And to me, like, a lead is a person. Like, so if you have prospects in front of you at those numbers, like, that gives you a week's worth of work if you can generate 10 leads,
Mm.
right? And I was like, that's important. And so I was generating these leads, blogging, and doing these little YouTube videos and putting everything on my blog, on my website. And then everybody was asking me how I was generating leads, like what I was doing. Like, when you start to do something, you get a small result. It doesn't even have to be that big. People start asking you, well, like, what are you doing? And so I was like, well, instead of telling people what I'm doing, I'm just going to do a call and welcome them. They can come join the call on Thursdays and they can come and learn, and I'm going to show them what I'm doing. So every Thursday, there was this call that I would do, and I would just show people what I was doing. I was like, hey, and most people were network marketers from all different companies because they just wanted to know what was working with my company. And I would train them. I just show them, hey, I'm doing these videos. I'm doing this blog post. Here's how I do the blog post. Here's how I set up the blog. And then I had a business coach of mine say, you really should charge for that.
Mhm.
Like, when people pay, they pay attention.
Mhm.
And I was like, charge for it? What are you talking about, charge for it? I had no idea. How am I gonna take a credit card? I don't have a swipey thing.
Yep. Yeah.
So I was like, cool, all right. And mind you, Andrew, like, this is back in the day. There's now hundreds of people teaching people how to build their own digital products.
Yeah, absolutely.
And back then there was nobody,
Mhm.
like zero people. There was
Mhm.
maybe a few people that did it, but nobody was teaching people how to do it.
Mhm.
So I had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, yeah, sounds cool. I'll create a course. And I'm going to teach people how to build a website. I'm going to teach people how to blog. And I'm going to show people how I'm getting leads. It's going to be great. So then I started to film the little tutorials and make a course. And I had no idea how to package it up. I fumbled my way through that. It took me way too long to create it because I had no idea what I was doing. And then I created my very first program called the Ultimate Branding Blueprint. That was in 2014.
Mm.
And I was thinking back then, because I wanted to teach people branding, because that's what I was doing,
Mhm.
that I was like, surely everybody is going to run over each other to buy this Ultimate Branding Blueprint. And so I launched it, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, launch, like just put out, okay, sales page is live. That was my launch.
Mhm.
Like, hey
Mhm.
guys,
I
come
did
and
it.
get it. I
Yeah.
don't know where I posted it. I don't even know. And no one bought.
Mhm.
I think I made like one sale the next day. And I was like, I worked on this thing for months. I was like, what the heck? Like, everybody should want this thing. They
Yeah.
were coming every Thursday. What the heck?
Mhm.
And I realized back then no one wanted branding.
Mhm.
Like, no, branding was still a thing you just do to cows back then. Now branding is a thing.
Yeah.
But back then, nobody wanted branding. And I was like, well, okay, nobody wants branding. And I was like, the ultimate branding blueprint. Come on, guys. And
This is good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so my messaging was all off. I actually didn't realize that until I started to dive in. I started to look at that. I think I had a coach look at it with me. And people don't want the thing, they want the result. They want the transformation. That's what I learned, right? So then I'm like, okay. So then we changed the messaging and we created the hook was how I enroll 2 to 5 new teammates every single week, like clockwork without bugging my friends and family.
There's some copy. Yeah.
This thing sold $3.5 million.
Mhm.
Like probably more by now. That was like a year ago that I looked at those numbers. And I'm like, and then everybody like was like, yes, I want to know how to do that. And then it was the same course. We kept the name the
Mhm.
same. The hook was different.
Mhm.
So that's how I started the coaching business. Was like I wasn't like I want to be a coach or I want to sell products. It literally just came from, hey, you're already doing this training. You're already talking about this content. When people pay, they pay attention. You could package this up and create a little product. So I did, and that was my very first product. We turned that into like $1 million a year funnel. That was pretty fun.
Mhm.
But also what it did was it increased my credibility and authority.
Mhm.
And I had a lot of students, not because I asked, but because they asked me, they would go through the program and then they would say, I want to work with you. And then they would join my network marketing company
Mhm.
with me.
Mhm.
And then they would buy other affiliate products from me. So it kind of just like everything feeds each other in the
Mhm.
brand if you build it properly and you lead with value.
Mhm.
And then we built more courses and more people because they wanted to learn more things. So I was like, all right, we'll make this course and we'll build this. And now we have a company called Digital Creator Studio, which is just an ecosystem that gives everybody the tools and training to do all of that.
Mhm.
So that's kind of our main focus now. We're busy and we have so many different cool people and entrepreneurs and creators. And the world we live in today is insane. The opportunity that exists online with social media. Never thought in a million years like this opportunity would exist the way that it does.
And what's really cool, just to kind of unpack this a little bit. So you're doing all the branding, you're putting videos out there, you're putting blogs out there, you've got tons of lead magnets, you've got courses, you've got all this, you've got this presence. And then you retire
Yeah.
from the industry
Mhm.
but you have that audience, you have the brand, you have that large footprint that exists out there. And I imagine that even if you wanted to, you couldn't stop generating leads.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're happening whether you like it or not.
Yeah. We would have to shut down all the social channels, the
Mm.
YouTube channel, the website to stop the leads from coming in,
Mhm.
which is pretty cool. So I took a year off of social media posting. I actually didn't do any vlogging, no episodes on YouTube, nothing. We took a complete year off to build the company, build Digital Creator Studio. And that took a lot of energy. So I couldn't do content. And I
Mhm.
was like, all right, we'll get back to content when we have our new virtual house built and we'll just get back to it. Um, we still generated, I think, between 3 and 5,000 leads a month
Mhm.
from old content,
Mhm.
like compounded. So if you think about like every piece of content that you put out there that's a high value piece of content, like a blog post of YouTube episodes or some of the best high value pieces, it's like putting a fishing line out in the water, right?
Mhm.
And if the longer you do that, all of a sudden you have a net. And then every single day, it's like that compound effect from all of the content.
Mhm.
And as long as you have your content leading with the right message to the right audience, with the right value lead offer that you're, capturing a lead with, you'll never be able to turn the lead flow off. It's like the coolest thing.
Well, and one thing I wanna capture is, so it's not like you wrote a blog post And you know what I mean? It's not like you
Ah.
recorded a video.
I wish that was true.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, it's a process, and I mean, of course, you're a living example of how effective it can be, but how long was it? You know what I mean? Like, just to set some expectations, right? Because it's like, well, you've got to not only acquire some skills,
Mhm.
but there is that consistency, and it does compound, absolutely. But part of what that means is, we know how the curve works. It's like, well, you've got to put in some effort to start seeing those results.
Back then, it took a little bit longer than it would today. Today, we have a little bit of more fuel that we can work with on the fire. Like, we didn't have things like Reels or
Hmm.
Facebook Lives or
Yeah, those are cool. Yeah.
yeah, like, those just drive traffic so fast. So before, we would do a post on the blog or YouTube, and we might do a Facebook post that says, "Hey guys, we've got this new thing, come check it out." We might send an email to the list that says, "Hey guys, we got this new piece of content, check it out." And that would really be the extent of what we could do to get, unless you're running ads, so you could run ads to the high value content, which I recommend and I like. But now today, um you have reels. Like, every time I do a high value piece of content on my blog, that includes either the podcast or the YouTube episode, I'll do a reel
Hmm.
and I'll say, comment 256, below, and I'll send you my new high value piece of content that's going to give you this and
Hmm.
insert benefit to that,
Hmm.
right? And those are working even with small social media accounts that aren't established.
Hmm.
Those are working like gangbusters right now.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Like, so the opportunity today is so much greater than it was before. So, but still, like with anything, like you said, like you want to be consistent with it. You're not just going to put one blog post out and be like, all right, that's my business. Like, yeah, no, like you want to have a solid weekly consistent plan, or at the very least, like every 2 weeks, have a new high value piece that's going out. Like, show that you're a real business if you want. Obviously, if your goals want real business results, right?
Hmm. There is a It's funny because it sounds kind of like virtue signaling, but there is a different principle called costly signaling. And the idea is that, and this applies specifically to consistency in this case, because there are other contexts you can use it. But the more you do something, the more legitimate it becomes.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So people need to see you doing something, right? Like if you're launching a business, right, and you don't have a track record, you don't have it's like, okay, you're kind of new. And it's like, well, let's see if you stick with that thing for
Mhm.
3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year or two, right? But if you do, that signaling, people notice that and they're like, wow, you've really invested a lot. That's where the costly comes in. You've invested a lot
Yeah.
into that. And that really leaves an impression on people. And they're like, okay, yeah, you're like, that's legit. Even if, again, your results were
0.
zero, just the fact that you're doing it, people are going to notice and people are going to start following you. And I'm sure you've had the experience of someone signs up and they kind of linger for a while and they're checking you out and they're kind of seeing what you're all about, seeing how consistent you are. Like, is she going to show up this Thursday?
Yep.
Right? And then you do, and then like you win them over because you're like, okay, the trust is there. Again, that signaling is there, and like, okay, yeah, this is legit.
Yeah.
She's legit because she's showing up. She's making good on her promise that she made publicly, right? And that's just such a something that's underappreciated, but it needs to be kind of factored into
Yeah.
when you think about like, okay, what's my plan? Well, let's plan it out and show
I
up.
love that you said that. I mean, like, that is so key. That is 100% key, is treat your business like a real business, show up like it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so tell me a little bit more about uh we talked did we talk about AI? I don't know that we did actually. That's something I want to get
Not
into
yet,
is
but I love AI.
yeah, like tell because I want to hear. I know you've done some very, and I'll give you, again, you're very humble, but you've done some really cool things over the years. You're fantastic on video. Your blog really, really high value. And one thing you've always done, or always did, you're probably still doing this, but your lead magnets. When you would have a unique and original lead magnet, like all the dang time, and it was like that's a lot. It's like I'm observing you over all these years and I'm like, wow, you're just always creating new and unique value and leading with so much value. and the lead magnet strategy where it ties into the content that's really relevant.
Yeah.
That was really cool. I've never seen anyone else do that. And
Oh.
that was very cool. I think that is a Tanya original right there.
Oh.
So good work on that. That was really cool. I
Oh.
liked seeing that over the years.
I'll give credit to Amy Porterfield on that one.
Okay.
I will, because I would listen to her pod. She doesn't do it anymore, and it's a lot of work. It's probably why, but um, it's easier now with AI. So
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, wind the clock back a few years, and it's
yeah,
like, "Whoa, that's a lot," you know?
and it's crazy what people are actually attracted to now versus what they were attracted to before. So before you had to be really fancy. The more raw and real today is what actually people are more attracted to. And I'll
Mhm.
explain that in a minute because it just makes the whole creation of this so much easier. So I'll give credit to Amy on this because I used to listen to her podcast all the time. I was like the only one that I would listen to. And I
Mm.
would be at the gym and they would be in my earbuds and I'd be listening. And every time she'd have a new episode, she'd have a new freebie that would go with the
Oh, very
episode.
cool. Yeah.
And I would stop everything I was doing and I would opt in for this dang freebie. And I was
Mhm.
like, wait a minute, if I'm doing this,
Mhm.
I need to do this in my business so other people do this with me. Like
Mhm.
that's and I was like, all right, I got to do it. So then I worked with the same freebie in my business for 2 years and then I started to do this. So you don't always have to come out of the gate thinking like you have to create new freebies, new resources, giveaways every week.
Mhm.
But you could start with maybe like 2 or 3 and just rotate them, whichever is most relevant to the content you're talking about. But here's what makes it so much easier. I always pay attention to the people online that I'm most attracted to and I follow. And then I ask myself, like, why am I attracted to this person? Why do I follow them? What about their content really is getting me to stop my scroll? Because then I take that information and data back into my own business and figure out how I can use it to our benefit. So, one of the things that I'm really attracted to right now is just straight up Google Doc swipe files.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
So I used to create, and I still do. I do the fancy freebie thing too, because Canva, I mean, why would you not? Like Canva's so easy. And then you've got Chat GPT or whatever AI tool that you use, you put them together, you just like you've taken an hour of work and made it 10 minutes, right?
Mhm.
So, but I like this because sometimes you're giving away a swipe file. Things that are really popular right now are like AI prompt swipe files or
Sure.
things like that, right? So I'll give you all my AI prompts for this. And people are like, oh my God, I want that. They're like commenting and you got like 1,000 leads in 2 seconds. You're like, oh, where'd this come from? So you got to think about like what causes that frenzy. Well, that is one of the things right now. And one gal that I saw, I thought this was brilliant. She literally is just giving her Google Doc away. And it's
Mm.
a plain as day
Mhm.
Google Doc, no fancy colors, no fancy fonts, and she's continually adding to it as well. So that's the
Mhm.
benefit of a Google Doc is it always changes when the owner changes the content. So she's like, I'm always updating it, my new prompts. And I'm like, heck yes, I want that, you know?
Mhm.
So now these resources and these lead magnets could be even easier than ever.
Mhm.
Like
And
a
they get
straight
more
up
valuable.
Google Doc, like
Yeah.
no fancy, no Canva, no design skills needed. I love it. As long as you have a call to action in there for somebody to buy something, you're
Yeah,
good to go.
always be
Yeah.
selling. I like it. So, okay, so tell me a little bit more. I mean, obviously there's a lot we could geek out on when it comes to AI, but like what is most exciting maybe to you about AI right now?
Uh, we probably are using it at a pretty basic level, but I like simple.
Mm.
Simple works. I am getting a little bit geeky right now with the LoRa's. Have you ever heard of the LoRa's?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm getting a little geeky with I don't know if they're valuable enough to bring to my audience yet, but I'm trying to find a way to get them to be valuable enough. So, basically you can upload a bunch of high quality images of yourself and the AI tool will make like a LoRa of you. And basically then you can prompt the tool to say, make an image of me sitting at my desk with my dog in a coffee cup. And then it would just spit out a really, really, really realistic photo.
Mhm.
Like sometimes you cannot tell the difference of you and the AI. And the reason why I was playing around with this and I thought this would be really cool, not that I love to like pretend to be me when I'm not, but my YouTube thumbnails,
Yeah.
things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, every time I would have to do a new YouTube thumbnail, I'd have to get a pose going. I have to take a photo. No. You did, have a little mini photo shoot. And I was like, if I could just not do that, that would be
And
save
your
us
thumbnails
time.
always were top notch, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, probably still are.
Oh,
But again,
thank
like
you.
over the years, oh, sorry, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah, money.
They're still me because I haven't figured out this floor yet, but I still don't like how I look completely in this, but I think they just need higher quality images. But there's some really cool things that you can do, and I think it's even getting scary and better every day.
Yeah.
Where, I use AI mostly now just to help me with a lot of my writing. And ideas or rewrites, editing.
Editing's big, yeah.
Yeah, because I've never been diagnosed dyslexic, but when I read my writing, if it's just me, I go, oh, I didn't put those in order.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Can you rewrite this? ChatGPT is all I say to him all day long. Can you rewrite this? And just makes me feel more confident with getting my message out in a little bit of a better way. So I love that it does that for people. I'm having it help me with my, my social media posts, my email newsletters. I create like the framework and the bullet points, and then I say, build on this. I'm using it for that a lot. I'm building tools for our community where they're pre-programmed with my prompts, because you do have to know how to prompt AI, as you know, right? Like
Sure.
you can't just go to AI and expect it's going to spit out something
Just
amazing.
do it.
Yeah, just do it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Mind read this. Come on, it's coming, Andrew. It's coming.
I
I
know.
can mind read you.
Yeah.
So
But we're not there yet. But yeah.
So scary. So so I'm using it for just getting like faster and more efficient with a lot of the things that we do. And then I'm building these tools that are pre-prompted with my engineering, like my prompt engineering, which is really cool, where if a student of mine could come in, they don't have any copywriting skills or anything like that, they can answer 3 questions and it'll spit out a result as if I wrote it for them and they hired me as a copywriter. So we're able to give these really cool pre-prompted tools to our community, to our students, so that they don't have to be a good copywriter. They can just focus on what it is that they're good at, but they can still create marketing assets that are going to build their business or help them build their business. And I think that's really important. Asking it for ideas for bonuses and things like that. Like if I'm running a challenge or a workshop or an offer, I'm like, okay, I've exhausted all of my brain cells building this offer. Give me some bonus ideas that would complement this offer really nicely. And then, it would give me bonus ideas, prize ideas, incentives, and things like that.
Hey, my friends, hope you're enjoying the show. I wanted to take a quick minute and invite you to something very cool. If you are tired of following up with dead leads, if you're tired of all the spammy, scammy conversations online, if you're tired of chasing down friends, family, and people you work with just to get somebody interested in your business, and you would actually like to talk to highly qualified people who have a genuine interest in doing business with you, then we have our all-digital 5-day boot camp that teaches you all the things that we do, and it will help you get 3 to 7 new customers each and every single week. That's our personal guarantee to you. If you want to take advantage of that, click the link directly below this, or you can go to attractionmarketing.com/YouTube. Now, let's get you back to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're using AI.
Yeah.
We'll probably use it more for video. If I can get... Did you see Google's new video editor that they launched the other day?
I think Matt was showing me, and it's just
mind-blowing.
like, okay, I mean, I'm not the first person to say this, but it just strikes me more and more every day that we are going to be at a place really soon where you just can't tell what's real and what's not.
This is true.
And, that's kind of got broader implications, but it's an indication of like how wild it's like. This is getting wild. Like this is getting, we're living in interesting times right now.
Like, I don't know if we're in this like bubble, like this sweet spot that we have to take advantage of now or never.
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of what scares me too, because when AI first came out, my husband was actually, I have to give him credit for this. He was the one that got me warmed up to AI because I was resistant to it. I
Mm.
was like, no way, because I'm type A personality. It's like my voice, no one's going to take my training away. This is my training. Like, I can't water down my training and have a robot do it. Like, no, no, no. And I didn't understand. Like, I had no idea. And so my husband was like, no, like, you have to watch this. You have to, like, this. And I'm so glad he did. Like,
Mhm.
and this was only a year and a half ago.
I know, it's all happened so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, wow. So I'm so warmed up to it. I'm loving it. Heck, I'm even warmed up to the idea of having a virtual image and video of me, like a Hey Jen. And I think that those are good applications for training.
Mhm.
So I see it where, like, we do a lot of training tutorial videos like inside of our program. And sometimes because we're teaching tech, the tech changes and I have to go and update the video. And I'm like, oh, I gotta go update the video.
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
So we're using AI, learning how to get better at using AI to do those things, like
Mhm.
those tedious, monotonous things. I know a lot of the listeners in your community are network marketers. You've still got a team to train.
Mhm.
So you could have like a team training site and you could have like a Hey Gen of yourself that
Mhm.
teaches, because it's still going to be valuable. You're not using it for branding
Mhm.
purposes. You're not using it for value purpose. You're using it for value purposes as far as training, but as long as the training is there. So I
Mhm.
think training is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, as you pointed out, it's so much easier to edit that when you need to.
Mm-hmm.
And even just tweak, that's the
Yeah.
other thing, right? Just make a little like, oh, okay, that little detail has changed.
Yeah.
So much easier than starting from scratch.
Yeah. And I'm like the most gullible person in the world. AI is totally going to fool me. Like it
Uh-huh.
already is online. I'm like, oh my gosh, did you see this? And my husband's like, that's not real.
I'm gonna be honest. Oh, sorry, Mike. I had that happen to me the other day. Someone sent me, it was a mockumentary about
Oh.
an artist, and I thought, because it was from an era that I'm not familiar with, and I was like, oh wow, this is really cool, and I'm like literally watching it, and it took me a solid like 5 minutes before I was like, wait a second, is this real? And sure enough, it was not, but it was so well done. And I think they might have even combined like an actual actor with, I mean, it blew my mind because I was like, what just happened? This isn't real. You know what I mean? It's just like the line between reality
Do you
and
know if it's enforced? Like, is it enforced now on social media that you have to say it's AI if it's made with AI? Like,
I,
they
I
enforcing
think, I don't know if they're enforcing it.
that?
Yeah. And I don't know how they might be enforcing it.
Mm.
That's a great question. We should look that up. We should ask AI.
There was this thing that I saw yesterday, and one of my students posted it, and it was this guy, super fit, kind of older guy. I don't know if you've seen it, but anyways, he asked, you know how ChatGPT has the version where it will just talk back to you,
Yeah.
right? You talk to it, it talks back to you.
Mhm.
He asked ChatGPT what his protocol should be or what his plan should be and everything that he should do if he wants to live a vital healthy life to age 120.
Okay.
And it laid out the entire plan for him.
Wow. I bet it was challenging stuff. Do you remember?
It was common stuff,
Okay.
like limit your sugar and peptides were in there,
Okay.
like take peptide therapy and what was it? I don't know. Eat seasonally, all kind of like whole food kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
diet.
Hmm.
Sleep. The sleep was the big thing. Like that was actually number one was sleep.
Yeah.
So go to bed at 10 and wake up with the sun, get your circadian rhythm in.
Mhm.
That was like the biggest one, which I was like, oh,
I know, I
suck
was
at
like,
that one.
okay, well, I'll if I
I'm gonna
make it
be
to 80, I'll
dead
be
by
happy.
75. I
Yeah,
need to
it's like,
change.
yeah. Gotcha. No, that's cool. What I haven't had a chance to experience yet, but I know that we're getting close is, traveling internationally and being able to converse with someone whose language you do not speak using AI as an intermediary.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited for that. Like that's gonna be really cool. But and I know we're maybe there's some utility now, but I know we're like really getting there soon.
So I'll probably learn about that 10 years after it launched. Because I went to Italy with my sister. We were there for like 3 weeks. And we went to a lot of the touristy places, but my sister's a beach volleyball player.
Mm.
And she's like, I want to see the beach. And in Italy, we're like, okay, well, where do we go to the beach? Well, we ended up finding this one place that was a beach town, but no tourists go there. and no one spoke a lick of English.
Mm.
And so the menu, I was like, well, I'll eat pizza because pizza is pizza. I don't know Italian. I can understand pizza. And so um, I did an Instagram later when we had Wi-Fi better in the hotel and whatever. And I was like, I don't know what to eat here. Like, I can't understand them. Nobody speaks English. And then I had like 50 people blowing me up. They're like, Google Lens, Google Lens. And I'm like, what's Google Lens?
Mm-hmm.
No idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would have been a better day if I would have known Google Lens.
Yeah, that would have solved at least the menu. You would
Yeah.
have been set for sure.
And there might be still people listening that don't know what Google Lens is. Google Lens, save your life. Go Google it.
Yeah, check it out. I haven't I've seen demonstrations of it. I haven't actually personally used it, but
I was in Whole Foods with Nadia Melton. We did a girls trip down at one of their Airbnbs in Sarasota. It was so fun. And we went to Whole Foods to get groceries and wine. And they have the wine a wine wall, right? All the wine. And we were like, Nadia is very affluent with her Italian wines, right? And so she said, we have to get this certification. It needs to have this label. It needs to have this smooth. Like, I'm like, oh, wow, this is okay. So she ends up she opens up her camera on her phone, takes a picture of the wine wall. I don't know if you've ever done this. This is crazy. You take a picture of the wine wall, and then you upload it to ChatGPT, and you tell ChatGPT, hey, which wine is going to give me this? And then it picks out, and then it gives you a full-on history lesson about the wine and all of the notes of the wine and the subtle flavors and this and the pairing and everything. It's a full. Is it sommelier? Is that how you say it?
sommelier.
It was our sommelier.
It was your sommelier.
Yeah.
Wow, I haven't tried that
30
yet.
seconds.
Yeah.
Or less. That was amazing.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. So are people going to be relevant in like 5 years?
No. No. I read something the other day. It was I don't know if it was true or if this was AI generated, but did you hear the one of the open AI systems did not shut down when it was told to shut
Oh, I
down,
did see
even
that.
though
Yeah.
they are programmed to shut down when they're being told to shut down?
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
I said it's coming. So it's funny because probably how many years ago? Are we over 11 minutes?
Oh, we're okay.
Okay.
But yeah, we're okay.
So,
And I will let you go soon, I promise.
Oh, okay. So I just want to be respectful if we have a time limit on this or anything.
That's just to give us an idea of
I always wanted to be on Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah, well then we got to put another 2 hours
2
up
hours
though.
of beer, 2 hours, get some food.
Yeah. And a
Um,
cigar and maybe some whiskey,
Yeah.
then we can really
then
we
give
can
us
geek
the
out.
Joe Rogan background.
Mhm.
There was. Do you remember that year? What was it? It was like 7 years ago. It was about 7 years ago. And all it was all these robot movies started coming out from Hollywood. It was like all the robot movies. And I'm not really like a sci-fi movie person. I'm like a total chick flick person.
Okay.
And so all these robot movies came out and I'm like, they're preparing us.
Mhm.
I said it. I was like, they're preparing us for the robot.
Yeah. Well,
And every one of them ended in the robots taking over.
Well, that's the thing. It's not like we haven't been warned, right? But it's like, but we just keep on keeping on. So it's like, all right, well, we'll see how that works out. But it's, and that's what's cool about sci-fi, right? So the whole idea of sci-fi, right, is like take something to its logical extreme, like just right. And I will say though, there is some sci-fi that presents a more. So Elon Musk is a big fan of a sci-fi series called. The series isn't really called The Culture, but the culture is the sort of theme of this particular series of sci-fi from Ian Banks.
Cool.
And I've read a couple of them. They're quite good, but they require you to pay a lot of attention. It's dense sci-fi reading. And but it is a how would we say, a post-scarcity future where the best way, this is how my wife describes it. The best way to think of it is we become sort of like pets. Like we're like the cats of AI. Like they're basically off running the universe and we're sort of like their pets, So it's a kind of a hopeful, optimistic vision of the future where we're still around. We still have a role. But we're sort of taking a back seat to everything else that's happening. And of course they're aliens. I mean, it's sci-fi, so there's all kinds of stuff going on. But
Ahead of its time.
yeah, and these were written many, many decades ago. So Yeah, and that strikes me that that's probably the future we're heading for. And again, this is an optimistic scenario, right? Because there are, as you know, there's some pessimistic versions of the potential.
So before this happens, just extract as much usage of the AI for
Yes.
your business,
Mm-hmm.
and then just kind of like extract the juice out of the orange as much as you can
Yeah.
until it eats us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as of today, we still are relevant and we have businesses and we can make money and we can leverage these technologies and we don't know what tomorrow will bring, but as of now, this
Yeah.
is our current, you have to you've got to deal or deal what is it the expression? To play the
You
card,
have no
play the
control.
hand you've been dealt or something. Yeah, it's like we have no control over this, it's like this is just what's happening right now. So and we'll worry about that when we get there,
Yeah.
which might not
That's
be.
very smart.
Yeah, but that might not be too far down the line, but, let's not, lose sleep over it today, right?
I would say like the perfect analogy for AI in business right now, I would say that it is the opportunity that exists right now with AI in business is the same as what we experienced when Facebook ads first launched.
Mm, mhm.
So like when Facebook ads first launched, I was doing Facebook ads and we were getting like 2-cent leads.
Yeah, remember those days?
Man.
Don't you wish you had bought so many more of those 2-cent leads?
Oh, man.
So I know you have too. I've spoken with people, as you can imagine, in the early days of AdWords when you could get those 2-cent leads off of AdWords.
Ugh.
And, there were people who had lists of hundreds of thousands because they were pennies, and it's like, don't you wish you just, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
looking back, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, there was a moment, and I think was what you're getting at. We're living through a moment right now. Those were moments. We can't go back.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was this window of time where if you were an early adopter, you could really crush it.
Yeah. So don't resist it. I mean, I did. I resisted in the beginning, but I can't. You can't because
Mm-hmm.
you'll just be left in the dust. You have to
Mm-hmm.
learn to adopt it. And it doesn't have to be in a complicated way. Just figure out what you need in your business and then have it do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you mentioned like so high five for dyslexia. Oh, yeah.
I hit the
Sorry,
mic
Mike.
too.
Um,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm dyslexic. I read words backwards
Huh.
and I will write words backwards. So an easy one is like was becomes saw, that sort of thing. Like
Ah.
I'll literally read it
Yeah.
backwards and then my brain has to unscramble it. So what that of course means is that,
You're a genius.
well, it means that there are a lot of typos in what I write. And that's what's just awesome, right? I mean, this is simple, right? This is a simple application, but yeah, I can remove a lot of my errors, probably 99.9% of my human introduced errors in anything I'm writing using AI because it's an excellent editor.
Yeah. I find that it's actually a really good trainer too. So like
Yeah.
as I'm using it to refine my copywriting and then I'm reading back the results, it's giving me back a better result and then I'm learning that better result. So
Mhm.
it's actually becoming then a part of me to prompt better and be a better copywriter as well.
Mhm.
So I've seen the wildest things and I believe them to be true where because we've had launch plans written out right from ChatGPT. I'd be like, hey, these are our goals. This is what we want to do. This is our timeline. I'd prompt it pretty good. And I'd be like, what do we need to do that if we were to do this kind of advertising, like meta ads? And it would
Mhm.
say, this is exactly what you need to do. And it would
Mhm.
lay out that plan. I've seen people, uh, and you've probably seen it too, where you're like, I asked ChatGPT how to make $1,000 today on Instagram and how I would do that. And this is what I did. And here's where my results were.
Nice. I
Like
haven't
that.
seen those. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
And like, I'm like, genius. Why? I mean, so simple. Why not? And if that's laying out a plan that they follow, they can make $1,000 that day.
Good stuff.
Go squeeze the juice out of the orange.
Squeeze the juice. Yeah. I mentioned, so apologies to the listener if you've heard this anecdote already, but one of the things I like, because I'm a bit attention deficit, and so I can't like watch like a replay of something. I just can't do it. I'm not going to sit there for 90 minutes and like watch I just can't. I cannot do that.
Not even on like 2x speed.
Well, that gets me a lot closer to being able to do it. But what I found is if I can extract a transcript and I can give that to, let's say, just ChatGPT, And I say, okay, teach me this. Now we can have a conversation. Now it can tell me step by step, what do I need to do? And then boil it down because I don't need 90
Do you
minutes.
say,
Like
"Teach me this"? Is that your prompt?
that's
Teach
exact.
you
Yeah,
Oh, that's
teach
new.
me.
That's good.
Yeah, just
Teach
like,
me this.
okay, what is this about? Now teach me. And
And what does it do? How is it different than you saying, "Summarize this"?
well, when you prompt it to teach you something as if it were like, let's say, a professor, and you tell it to give me a step by step process where it's like, what do I do first? And what do I do then? And then you just have a conversation. Well, next thing you know, now it's all actionable. So the information is taken from being, and I mean, again, not to say that it wasn't actionable before, but it is, instead of being a more informational experience, now it's a really targeted, actionable, and it'll, of course, talk you through every step of the way. So, like, you're not getting information before you need it, right? It's like, okay, cool, I did this. What's next? Right. So, that, in my mind, it keeps me more engaged, and it's making it's like tailored to where I'm at because obviously it learns
Mhm.
about you. Now it has a more persistent memory. And so that's been really cool because again, I just sometimes I need to learn something. And going through a course is just like, God, I remember this was, I don't know, this was like a month or two ago. I was going through a course and there was just hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of content, which is great because,
Yeah.
it's all good stuff. But it's like, I don't, so next thing you know, I'm just literally loading up all the slides, transcripts, everything, just feeding it into a project. And now it's like, cool, now let's do this. And then wherever I'm at, right? Like okay, this is what I'm doing right now. Like now tell me what's relevant to what I need to know right now to do
So
this
smart.
today. So that I really like. I recommend that. And then the final one I'll recommend, or the final kind of tip I'll give,
That's really smart.
you might like this one, is I'm sure you find as well, I have moments of inspiration.
Mhm.
Okay. And oftentimes they're not, and it's not when I'm sitting down like, okay, inspiration, where are you? And while I'm obviously someone who I don't need to wait for inspiration to strike, right? Like I believe in showing up and doing the work, obviously. But when you have a moment of inspiration, you're ashamed to lose it, right? Because there are times where, okay, I'm sure you've had this experience. There are times where I need to write an email, and there are just some times where it's like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
And it might take a few hours to write an email, but you do it anyway because you got to do it. There are other times where I can write something that's better in like 5 minutes because it's just there. I'm just like, I know exactly what I need to do, and boom, it's done. And
Yeah.
it's even better because I was just in that mode. I had the idea. I don't know where it came from, but I had the idea. I execute. It's done. And those things happen. You got to push through either way. But what I find is if I have an idea, now I can just pull up the chat, the voice feature,
Mhm.
and I just talk it through. And then, of course, AI will polish it, right? So it'll give me, because I used to do this when I was like walking, I would pull up my voice recorder and
Yeah.
I would just like talk through stuff. But then it was kind of laborious because I'd have to take it and edit it, all that stuff, right? It was a
Yeah.
process. It was still great because I'm capturing that inspiration. But now I don't even have to do that. Now I'm just like, I had an idea. I want to do this. Just like you prep it, like this is the target market, this is the offer, this is all this. And then this is the idea I had. And the next thing you know, your idea is presented to you in a really polished way where you're like 90% done.
That's cool.
And so I
That's really cool.
I like that. That I
Do
use that
you
a lot.
do you use ChatGPT mostly for this, or have you dove into, like, I hear people saying Claude and things
I
like, do you use any of those?
Yeah, so I like Claude for writing.
Mm.
And actually TJ's the real nerd with this stuff. I do use ChatGPT a lot. But I find that Claude just has a better, so one of the things that ChatGPT does, it grinds my gears. But it's the reversal. So it's not X, it's Y, right? Like it's not um it's not old school network marketing. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that like
Yeah.
rhetorical pattern or framework, however you want to characterize, like it's not this, it's that. Almost everything you get ChatGPT to output will have that in there. Now, it's a good tell if you want to see, like, was this written by AI? Just look for that because it's almost always there.
Interesting.
Claude doesn't do that. Claude's a bit more like original. It has less tropes, less, that kind of formulaic style of copy. So I find Claude is better in that regard. And you just put the app on your phone, as I'm sure you have, and you just talk to him. And then obviously using projects and things, all that's helpful to get your voice, right? But I'm a talker. I like talking my ideas,
Me too.
get it out of my head. The quicker I can get out of my head, the better it's going to be. So I'm not like, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, So as I'm translating it onto the page, I'll start editing it. I kind of lose the flow. But
Yeah.
if I can just get it out of my head, then I can go back and edit it. And so that's kind of my process.
Cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Those are good. Smart.
Yeah. So, well, we've been chatting for a little while. So, is there anything, I'll just kind of open the floor. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd love to share? Either about, I don't know, I feel like we did a great job with your story, which I really enjoyed, by the way. I don't think we've ever quite gone like that in depth on your
You
background.
might be the only show that has that in depth of like way back in my early days.
Yeah. That's what's so important, though, because now, today, you're successful, you've built multiple businesses. People need to see, though, right? It's like people need to get that, like, let's rewind back to like where you started and the challenges and the breakthroughs you had to have, because you have to become a different person fundamentally from who you were when
Yeah.
you first got started. That's what I think is so powerful about this industry is you just have to grow a ton.
Mhm.
That's what's great about entrepreneurship generally. So
Yeah.
I love hearing people's stories. Just it's like, oh, that's so cool. Like
That's awesome.
you had to like grow here and there, and the challenges. That's the really good stuff. Like I can remember personally. I mentioned this anecdote before, but for a very brief period of time, I was in a position where I was cold calling,
Mhm.
and oh my god, did I sweat and like, you know what I mean? Just like, nothing was more terrifying than the telephone
But
because I'm
probably
also
one
an
of the best
introvert.
things that you did.
Yeah. But having done that, I didn't enjoy it. But having done that, so much more confident on the phone, first of all, just like
Mhm.
on that very particular level. But yeah, just generally, it's just so character building, I guess you would say, having gone through that,
Yeah.
versus not. So that's why it's like, particularly in this industry, we really love those, yeah, those breakthroughs, I guess you have to have along the way, where you're like sharing, like, oh my God, you'll never believe what I did. It's so fun.
I bet you if I could find the charger for my BlackBerry, I did keep my BlackBerry. I'm one of those people that will keep like the,
Yeah.
artifacts from way back when.
Yes, the nostalgia.
If I find the charger for it, I probably have some of those old recordings on there.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Oh, so last question then. I'm a reader. You mentioned maybe you weren't at a period of time. That's okay. But is there a book that you're just like, oh my God, you got to read this book? You did say Miracle Morning, like that had a profound impact
Yeah.
on you. So that's you could talk more about that. Or if there's anything else you're like, oh,
I'm reading, I have read all of Alex Hormozy's books,
mhm,
and his $100 million offers book is money. It's so good, like as a business book,
mhm,
like for developing offers and developing the understanding of what gets people to say yes,
mhm,
and that's really fundamental. Um, that would be like the newer, but my go-to staple, and also for business, go-to staple is The Psychology of Influence by Robert Cialdini.
Cialdini. Yeah.
Yeah, so I open and use that book every time I create a offer of some kind that I'm selling, because I want to make sure that most of those six human triggers are in there that get people to say
Mm,
yes, that influences like a yes. And we forget about those, but they're so important. So every time I write like an email sequence or a lead magnet sequence or a sales page or something like that, I'll always pull up that and just make sure that those elements are laced authentically and
mhm,
in there. And I really like that book. Um, I don't read a lot for just pleasure.
mhm,
Like I read just for business.
mhm,
Because I am obsessed about what it is that I do. I'm obsessed about marketing. I'm obsessed about, you know, learning digital marketing, psychology as far as sales go. I'm obsessed with all of that. And
mhm.
it does bring my joy, and it does bring me excitement to learn all those cool things. I'll never stop learning in there.
We have
Um,
very productive dopamine habits.
yeah. And I think if you're coaching and taking money from people and that is your craft that you're selling them, I think it is important to always be one step ahead and be investing in yourself at that level, in a sense of that then gives you then I have earned their money and their trust, right? I remember going to uh, a bank meeting. Wells Fargo is where I bank with most of our stuff and our business stuff. And when your bank accounts reach a certain level, they give you a phone call and say, hey, come meet with our private bankers. They
Mm-hmm.
want you to invest stuff with them and do an asset under management deal or whatever. So I remember going in many years ago, and there's two young guys there dressed nice and sharp, and then an older guy there. And then I'm across the table and I'm in their nice private office, and they're whining and dining, right?
Yeah.
And I knew what they were doing because I've been to a few of those meetings before. But I was
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, they've treated me well as a bank. I'm going to go
Mm-hmm.
listen to what they have to say. So we go in there and they say, oh, we can do this. You have money here. You can do this. And what about this? They start talking about. And I said, hey, just curious. As far as like wealth building and wealth planning, what kind of books do you guys read? What was the last like seminar you've been to? And you know what they said? Well, they don't read books. They were fumbling. They've never been asked this question before. They were like, oh, maybe that or they weren't like, oh, this book for sure. This book for sure. This book is amazing. And then I said, okay, well, what was like the last seminar event that you went to when it comes to, wealth building, planning, tax strategy, all the cool stuff. And they're like, well, Wells Fargo put on an event for us that we went to, and it was just like their corporate event. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, in my head, obviously I didn't say this, but I was like, how can I give you my money
Mm-hmm.
if you are not invested in your craft?
Mm-hmm.
You just come to work, get a paycheck, go home, kick up, watch Netflix, and, do your day.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But you have to be invested in your thing when you are playing with people's livelihoods, which is like their money, their businesses, like, which I do. I play with, I'm not playing, but I handle people's money,
Mm-hmm.
livelihoods, businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you best be sure that I'm going to be investing in myself, coming to events like this, etc. Right? Um, Same with, so no one cares more about your health or your finances than you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to ask these questions.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to the doctor's office. Hey, what have you read lately? What about functional health, medicine, all the new stuff? Like, if they can't answer those questions with like passion and confidence, oh my God, they're not invested in their craft, they're not getting my business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everyone should operate that way.
You didn't give them your money, did you?
No. Just the bank account.
Yeah.
They keep bugging me though.
Yeah, they will. So if the listener, if you haven't had this experience yet, banks take notice when you have a lot of balance.
Yeah, I think it's like over 250 in the account. So you have
Mm-hmm.
250. So that's a reasonable amount.
Mm-hmm.
It's a healthy amount of money in there. They'll assign you to the private banking sector.
Mm-hmm.
They'll assign you like a private banker, which is nice to have because they can help you with things. But they want to put your money in their funds.
Yes. And just as a quick life tip, what's going to happen is they're going to give you to an advisor. That advisor doesn't make the trading decisions. Wells Fargo does, someone way up the food chain. And all they want to do is charge a percent and sometimes even charge you transaction fees. And they're just trying to basically squeeze your money out of you.
Even if they don't make you money.
Correct.
Yeah,
It doesn't
that's the
matter.
scam.
It doesn't matter if they make you money or not. And I'm just, this is beyond the scope of this conversation.
But
But
good.
you can do everything that they're going to do. You can do it for pennies. And you can even do it yourself if you so choose to educate yourself.
Yes.
You can absolutely do everything they're going to do, probably even better.
Even better.
And you're not going to pay them a percent and a half, plus maybe some fees. It's just, stay away from those people.
Get a Fidelity self-trading account. Go in.
Exactly.
Do your own stuff.
And the people you're talking to, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're not even making this. They're just salespeople. So don't give them your money.
And obviously do your own due diligence. Do not take financial advice
this is
from
not
us
financial
at
advice.
all. We are not financial experts. We're just sharing personal opinions.
Right. Like I'm literally not selling you anything. I'm selling you on yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Learn to do it yourself.
And ask the questions. Ask the questions for sure.
Yeah. So
it's very
just
important.
a little life pro tip.
Yeah, you've been through there. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been through the whole rigmarole.
It's just like I said, if the listener hasn't been there yet, you'll get there.
Yeah.
And it's just a fun experience to have.
Yeah.
And especially if you go in armed with a little bit of knowledge.
Yeah.
And
if you want to even have more fun with it, just ask them what books they read when it comes to like wealth building and financial planning and tax strategy and what seminar. and they'll be fumbling.
Mhm.
You'll have a little good chuckle inside.
And this is another good just like sales tip. What they do is they want to control the frame of the conversation. So they want to be the one asking the questions. If you can just turn that around on them and you start asking the questions, you'll see how quickly their script breaks down.
Yeah.
And I encourage you to do that. Just do that and you'll see and you'll be like, "Oh wow, yeah, okay. So they had a script they were running on me where they want to talk about what are your life goals and when you want to retire." And it's like, "Cool, they don't need to know that. That's not the conversation you need to be having. That's almost like when you go to a car dealership and like, "Oh, what monthly payment do you want?" And it's like, "Oh, let's talk about how much you're charging me for the car. Let's talk about what the interest rate is. Like, let's talk about the important things, not the monthly payment."
Yeah.
That's way downstream of the important considerations, and that's the same thing when you talk to some advisors. But
Yep.
anyway, just a little life pro tip.
Side note, I do know a couple of really good advisors
There
that
you go.
are amazing. Yes, yes, yes. But you have to ask the right questions to find those people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They are out there 100%. And here, last life pro tip along this, you can do it kind of a in between. It's semi self-directed, but you can go to advisors where you tell them what to do. They'll execute all the trades for you and they charge a fraction of a percent to do that for you. So
Yep.
there's,
That's a good tip.
there are other arrangements that you can, because yeah, once you have money, that becomes the next thing is like,
Yeah.
well, how do I hang on to it?
I,
And
I I don't think that this is too off topic because the audience is the audience. They're building businesses. They're going to have that wealth if they're consistent with their businesses, right? And I I've been down this road and I always kept saying, "Man, I really, really wish that this information was talked about more because
mm,
I don't know. Like,
mm,
I don't even know the right questions to ask. I don't think enough people talk about this.
mhm,
It's almost like you've got to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody to get the right information. And
mhm.
it's not taught in school. It's not public knowledge. You're not, so just having the ability to plug into a community where you can ask like, hey, when you get here, what do you do?
Yeah.
I was just outside the door just before our podcast. I was talking with TJ and Fernie about tax strategy and
Yeah.
stuff that you can do.
Hmm.
And we were just sharing tips with
Hmm.
each other because that's the only way that we learn, right?
Yeah.
Is from other people who are maybe walked in those shoes as well.
And as you said, they don't, they're not teaching this in high school.
Heck no, they should, but they don't.
And I guess the last thing perhaps is, for the audience, life is just a series of solving problems and
Mhm.
you just want to get good at that. And if you have a network, that helps significantly. But, like making money is a problem. But then when you have money, that creates its own problems. I mean, it just kind of like life is a problem solving process. So just get good at being resourceful, being in the frame of mind where I'm solving problems because they're just going to, and it's not a bad thing. They're just
Yeah,
like, you're just going to have to continue to figure out what problems do you need to solve as you continue to grow. That's just how it goes.
well said.
So, well, Danielle,
Yeah,
thanks so much for
can't.
sitting down with me. I
This
wasn't
was
quite,
fun.
wasn't quite Joe Rogan length, but,
Wow,
but yeah, definitely appreciate the chat. Had a really good time. So thank you so much.
this was so much fun. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is great.
Hey, what's up, my friends? Hope you enjoyed that show. Hope you got some great value from the content and hope you enjoyed our conversation with our speaker. I want to just remind you, if you are ready to stop chasing people and start having people chase you, if you're tired of all the spammy, scammy conversations all the time and you'd rather have 3 to 7 highly qualified customers each and every single week coming to you in your inbox, you are invited to grab our free 5-day digital boot camp that will teach you how to attract the right kind of people, create the kind of influence so you can start enrolling those 3 to 7 customers each and every single week. And you can get that at the link below, or you can go to attractionmarketing.com/YouTube. That's attractionmarketing.com/YouTube. And if you got some great value from the show and you want to stay in touch, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and of course, share this message far and wide. There will be much more conversations just like this one coming at you very soon. Look forward to having you with us here with the Attraction Marketing Show.